The thing is, it was a day like any other, which is strange because it wasn't, but it was, but it wasn't. Yes, there was, to my dreams, there was a fluctuation, I suppose, an unstableness to my dreams. And I was awake, and I was, yes, hard to explain. I'm stiff back, domed in the midsection, thin, brittle legs, uncontrollable, out of control, the legs just moving, just writhing, just... I could see my briefcase. I could clearly see my briefcase as I writhed. And the woman on the wall, the woman, I had cut her from a magazine and I had framed her and I had floated, placed her above my bed. Seductive she was, sorry, not in polite company, acid laden she was, acid laden, yes, Calipigian. She gave a kind of concordance to the daily grind, commute, you know. Sorry, that was, I'm not myself. She gave a kind of concordance to the daily grind. Sorry, that was, I'm not myself. And anyway, she gave a kind of concordance to the daily grind, commute, you know, sorry, that was, I'm not myself. So this was a Black Swan event, the wake-up, the change. This was unanticipated, and its indemnity would be defined at a later juncture. It was dripping, dropping, dipping, double, triple, dipping outside in the world of the grey and clouds and the corpses of the what? Yet my job is, careering is, it's stressful. Look, it is stressful and it does take strain, and there is travelling and there is drudgery and buggery and infidelity and yes, I travel. Unraveling a bit, I suppose. Sorry. I work for a, look, it's not ideal. I'd say 5 or 6 more, and then my parents' debt is wagered, and I can, something a little bit more, that engages me a bit, that doesn't make me think my life is dribbling out of my jaw, I took stock of the big 3, the where, and the what, and the when. The where was my room, the what was unknown, and the where was 6:10. Christ, I thought, Christ, and fuck it, and buggery, and, sorry, not in polite company, the alarum had been set for 4 and daybreak, had it not begun, had it not belled and jolted and inflated at the correct curvature, I digressed, sorry. I digressed. The plane had been scheduled to leave the station at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, I was so late I would be lucky to catch the train at 6:10. 6. And the company's man would be, the assistant would be, the little, crawling, pincing, pathetic little company's man would be, and my manager, my line manager, my direct line manager would be there to see that I missed the plane at 5, and he would dispatch his assistant, and I couldn't call in 6. as you don't get paid for 6 days ahead anyway. I'm never 6 because I am a company man and I don't believe in germs or weakness. My line, harassa, would be around with a doctor in order to prove that I was a liar and a hazy layabout. And anyway, I felt excessively well, if not a little hungry, but certainly alive and ready for a day of the usual kind of work I was expecting. Little legs and domed back and thin antennae. Sorry, I got a little bit.
Greg, it's 7:15. Do you not want to go somewhere? Greg, what's wrong? Greg, do you need anything?
I'm ready now!
Greg, open the door, I beg of you.
I'd lock the doors and sleep. As a travelling man, protocol, you know. Ravenous, starvative. I imagined it was just a rather serious cold. Little legs, little dome and legs. Just throw off the covers, my boy. Just cast off the covers and let light on ribs and stand and align the thoughts and be. Different directions, legs and limbs in different directions, and none of them useful. Width was an issue, too wide, too broad, far too broad and wide, and that was indeed an issue. The lower part of me, the dome, and words are inadequate to, yes, off the bed now. There's the chap, smashed it off the bedpost. The lower part of me, mine, chafe, that really blooming chafe. Sorry, present company expected. Oh, have you ever watched a newborn? A useless, bloody newborn, no control, arms and legs and everywhere, and movement and kineticism and kinesthesia and kin. I had none of that now. No control, no limbs, like a monkey without opposable thumbs, like a monkey without opposable thumbs. Clock struck 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And still foggy on a day like this, fog on a day like this. Well, that will never do, will it? My main concern was my place of work. My main concern was my place of employment and attendant danger of reproach. They opened at 7 and the clock had struck 7, and at 7:15 they would know of my plight, and my boss would take flight and come to see me and my failure and judge me and shut me and terminate my interminability. Inconceivable. Back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth, and a rocking back and forth and back and forth, and little legs and little antennae and little dome and little legs. It is satisfying and satisfactory and comforting just to rock. The simple things are satisfying, just to rock and to hum and to yes, back and forth. Halfway out of the bloody bed, wary of the noise my shell would make onto wood so as not to alarm him, and it hit me. It bloody hit me. So simple. Solutions always bloody simple. I just needed help. 2 strong men. My father and other ongoing company joke. My father and mother could lift me, peel me, carry me from bed, flippity-give it onto the old mini peg legs, and I'd be scurrying away by 1:30. So bloody simple, rational thought is all it needed. I am such a bloody animal sometimes. And then it hit me. Oh, I guess I hadn't. Maybe it was shock, maybe it was too big to grasp earlier, or maybe I was suddenly so sad. It had finally all hit me. What an incredibly taxing career I had chosen. The travelling, the effort, not working from home, not flexi hours or any such luxuriety, travelling to and from and day in and day out and day in and day out, and travelling is taxing. Connections bad, or indeed irregular food copy out the contract. No eating breakfast or a kick from the boss. Metaphorical. Maybe it would have been best. Maybe it would have been best if I told him. If I fucking told him what I feel. He would be consumed by his injury and his desk and his shop. If I told him. If I told him that there is still hope. When I have the money for my parents' debt in 5 or 6 years, I guess, I will fucking tell him! I will tell him what I feel about him and the job and the fucking then I will be different in 5 or 6 or 7 more tears. Do not open it, do not open it, do not. He was inside. The chief clerk, no less, let in by the maid, the stupid, helpful bitch. Sorry. Now the game was afoot. I hurled myself. My back was more elasticated, wasted than I thought at Morrison. The carpet, soft. A cushion, one may pray. The chief clerk, fucking hell, why the chief clerk? Why not a minor clerk? Why not a trainee? Why the chief? The fucking, we are not louts, we are not louts, we are people. Do you hear us? Do you hear? I mean, chief clerk, bullying people's families, bullying my family, yes. Maybe this had happened to him before. The chief clerk, was it not possible? It was.
The chief clerk is here. The chief clerk is here. He wants to know when he can make it onto the early train. He will forgive the untidiness of your room. Now hold up and talk to him, face to face, like a man. Good morning, Mr. Samson.
I heard them begging on my behalf, scrabbling, scratching for forgiveness from the brute.
He isn't well. Why else will he miss the train? Why he never misses the train? All he thinks of is the business, is the business, is the business, is the business at his fret saw. His little fret saw. And as you type his fret saw, he made a little frame, you'll see.
I'm coming, I said, considered.
He must be ill. Well, I hope nothing serious, but we people in commerce must simply overcome business considerations. Can the clerk see you now?
No! Little sister. Why aren't you with them? Can you not bear to be with them? What has become of me? If anyone knew, if anyone knew of my current position, they would not expect me to, no one would expect me to welcome in the chief clerk in a state like this. Really, they can't sack me on the spot. When they find out about it, they'll understand that we are reasonable people, and I am being reasonable. The others are worried. That excuses their behavior.
Mr. Samson, you failed to carry out your duties. Explain yourself. Your employer did suggest one reason. Your employer did suggest one reason for your failure to appear. The money that was entrusted to your safekeeping. Your turnover sounds like a very unsatisfactory late. There is no time of year to do no business at all, Samson.
Give me a moment, give me a momentum. I will open the door wide, I will open the door. You will see that I am slightly unwell. I haven't been able to get up as of yet. I haven't been able to, but I am applying effort. I'm applying all the effort I can muster. I am quite alright. It just came over me. I had a little symptom last night, but now it has excavated, and now I am. Please don't let my parents suffer. Please, I'll be on the 8 o'clock pain. The hours of rest have fortified me. I'll be in the office. I was clinging to the chest of drawers, desperately trying to get upright, to stand, to bipedal millennia of men and learnt to do it, and I was to learn again. Heave, straight, heave, stand. God, it hurt. I grabbed the back of a chair. Slowly, I inched towards the door. I could hear them.
Do you understand? He is ill. Gwyneth, get a doctor, get a doctor. That was the voice of Alan. I'm going to look through him now.
I could hear their skirts swishing as they ran. It was a delicate contrast to the picture of Mother's screams. They slammed the front door shut. They could have left it open. People so often do in houses where something awful has happened. Bizarrely, I calmed. Yes, smoothed. They had realized something was wrong with me. A relief. Of that there is no doubt. I threw myself at the door, held upright with adhesive tips of legs. Looked at the lock. A challenge. Decision was to turn key in lock with mouth. A bold choice, but a correct one. Life is defined by choices, bold choices and correct ones. This was one of each of those. I turned the key. My jaw was hard, but rather toothless. I must have caused damage as liquid oozed forth, but never mind. This was important, and I didn't really have time.
He's turning the key.
And I bit further, and the lip split further, and the pain, and the liquid, and the anguish, and the turning. The lock snapped open, and I rested my head on the handle and fell back, exhausted and elated and heavy, and the door was open. New air gusted in and freshened the place and opened the place, and I came round one of the double doors slowly. I was tired, and I was his hand to mouth, his face ashen with hatred and nausea and all kinds of things. Stepping back slowly, moving carefully, and my mother fell to her knees, head buried in chest, and father, fists clenched, ready to violence me back to whence I came, but crying, sobbing, chest pounding with tears of man and anger. The day had lightened. I mean, it was still raining hard, but I could certainly now see the outline of the hospital, and the silhouette of the breakfast hadn't been washed up. I remember father's daily papers strewn across the floor. Now then, I said, calmly, authoritatively, I will get dressed and go to work. I am not stubborn. I like my job as a commercial traveller. It is arduous, but there are rewards. You will report that people are temporarily unable to work, but this can be overcome. And times like these are time to remember an employee's previous track record of excellence and achievement and diligence and concentration, and that once barriers are removed, that person can return to, if not exceed their previous level of employability, and returns for the company. As I am in serious debt to my employer and my parents and sister rely on me, you will understand that I am trapped in a difficult situation, but I promise to work my way out of it, sir. Please, don't take sides against me in the office. Please. He backed out of the room slowly. The clerk. I couldn't tell you what his face was saying, but I remember his lip very clearly, his lip, and how violently it trembled at the sight of me. When he reached the hall, he bolted, shot away, never took his eyes off me until the moment when I couldn't let him get away. If he got away in this mood, this candor, my position at the company would be, and my family would be, and the debt would be. So I lunged at him, towards him, where he left, pushing out of my room with haste, pushing the pathetic little legs to action, to kinetics, to movement and speed, and the clerk sped through the living room towards the stairs, and I followed him, and he reached the landing, gripping banister with both claws and fear, and the legs worked perfectly, and I soared, and I hoped this would be over soon, and Mother stumbled and fell back and hat in hands and sent coffee flying and up the walls and in the kitchen and on the floor, and I scrambled towards Mother. The liquid drip made my jaws snap involuntarily and drew me in, and the need for the clerk kind of faded, and I moved back into the kitchen and just looked and smelt and just was. Mother screamed, and ran, but the clerk, I had forgotten about the clerk, started moving in desperation, so I went to him and I sprinted, but he took several steps at a time as he gulped in air, and I got close enough to smell, but shouted, and father leapt forward and grabbed the clerk's walking stick and swung it at me, and he stamped, and he swung, and I genuinely feared for him, and he shouted, and he hustled, and the rage in his face, and I scuttled fast backwards in the fear and the surprise of his assault, and mother opened the window, thrust her face out of it, pale as a ghost, and the papers flew in the air, and I begged, but father didn't listen or couldn't listen, and he was driving me back like a hissing, shouting wild man, and I couldn't move backwards quickly, but feared turning as he would hit me, but I did. And I ran so fast to the door that I misjudged it, the gap, and I hit the door. He was driving me harder and scarier, and I hurled myself at the doorway without regard of what may happen. The side of me scraped along wood, painfully injured, deep brown flecks of what was within, all around, stuck, one flank indoor, hard back against other. Father pushed, one last rage put to force, and slid into the room, side bleeding, legs painful and flailing, and the door was slammed shut behind me, and all was silent. Slept like a coma, like I was seeking equity. Equity. All I was ever seeking was equity. The nightlight's lamps buzzed down on furniture. I feel I was awoken by footsteps, but I was unsure. I wash in darkness, feel my way with antennae. Somehow they feel more of a piece now. Certainly useful, certainly, yes. My left flank aches and throbs and pain. One leg rendered useless. Lucky to be so few, I would venture. And smell. I can smell sweet milk, yes. Sweet milk, and there by the door it lay. A tiny act of kindness by someone. Bread floating. I was starving, and I plunged towards and thrust my full head in it up to my eyes, and I gulped. It is foul, utterly foul. The room next door is silent, warm and silent. I take pride in the fact that I, Gregor Samsa, have provided by financial contribution such a warm and silent womb for my very flesh and bones to rest within. Someone wants to visit, oh Gregor, yes! A little nudge on the door, open and closed. A little nudge on the other door, open and closed. Oh, come, timorous beastie, little Gregor doesn't bite. Yesterday, entry was barred for all who wanted in. Now, both doors unlocked, and no one dares creep in here. Everyone went to beds now. What to do? I carefully think, drip, how to reposition my living arrangements to produce maximum yield from the current situation. The tallness of the room makes me queasy, so I run under the sofa. A little tight, perhaps. I can't move my head, but Christ on a pedal bike, it is damn comfortable. In the dark, in the pressure, yes. Is it forever? I ask myself, is it permanent? Should I seek reflection of visage? Should I pray to the Almighty? Should I accept that this is what is? Am I real? Am I mad? Am I dying? Is this death, reincarnation, or the plague? Why can I hear? Why can they not hear me? My head swims now, always in the pressure. Hunger pains awake a light sleeper. Worries, vague hopes and concerns, and one conclusion: for now I must remain calm. The unpleasantness the family will bear for this will only be exacerbated if I fail to stay calm. Morning, here, the door flies open. There stood my sister. She looks around. She saw me beneath the sofa and slams the door shut. Understandable. I assume she regretted it. The door immediately reopens, and there she tiptoes in like I was a cancer patient or an unknown soldier. God, I'm hungry. God, I need food. God, you had better bring me different food. I cannot eat that, but need to eat. I cannot eat that, but need to. I cannot. Using a rag, she lifts the milk and leaves. She returns. She lays out newspaper, neatly, like a school project, perhaps. And on each sheet of newspaper she places things, different things to eat. Half-rotten veg, bones, white sauce gone hard, raisins, some cheese I had previously classed as inedible, dry roll with butter and salt, water in a dish. She scurries out and locks the door behind her to give me privacy, to allow me comfort in this most personal. I suck on the cheese and chomp the veg and hoover the hardened sauce. The fresh food stink. I push them away. I scurry back under the sofa. Key in lock rotates. The sister has returned. She sweeps uneaten food into bin as if it could not be used after I have touched it. I stretch. This is how I get my food now. In the morning, while parents sleep. Lunch, while they nap. In the evening, when that maid sent on errands. Greta interacts in the third person. He enjoyed his dinner today, or now everything has been left there again, but it was interaction nonetheless. I never venture out from beneath the couch in her presence, so of course. I listen to their talking at the doors. Father has stopped drinking his beer. That is a terrible, terrible sign. However, he did explain to the family their financial prospects. When Father's business collapsed 5 years prior, I hurled myself into becoming a junior salesman with the fever of a man hungry for monies to amend the shortfall my father had. As it transpired with my event, at the collapse of the business, Father had squirreled a small but significant amount for a rainy season as this. My work turned into cash, which turned into family security, which turned into familial warmness, which turned into familial cooling, which turned into acceptance of me bringing finance. And I suppose that was fine, as that was my role. My sister stayed warm to me. She played the violin. But like Father, I too had been squirreling away money to send her to the conservatoire, to make her dream a solid reality. I was going to announce it at Christmas. If I make the slightest noise, Father says, "What's he doing now?" And I have to stand still and wait for conversation to reignite. Father's squirreling. Good have been used to free me from the job, but as it turns out, it was the right thing to do, as this unfortunate event rendered it useful. They could probably live without my income for, say, 2 years. I fling myself to cool leather to relieve the red-hot shame that burned on me. Sometimes I look out of the window at night. Push the chair up to sill and watch night to day. It gives me an enormous sense of freedom, vacuity. It's strange. Sky and floor seem to blend into one all-encompassing grey now, in a way. Sister noticed. After cleaning, she would return the chair to the window and perhaps prop it open a little, allowing air on me for the first time. I wish I could thank her. I wish I could thank her for all that she... The room is, she is having to close the door behind her as she enters so the others wouldn't be, well, they would be shocked. They might be horrified by how she rushes to the window and pulls it to fully open as if the stench is even in frost. She sticks her head out as if I am increasingly uncomfortable with her there. I stay beneath the couch, shivering, but she finds it unbearable without. She comes in early. I am caught looking out of window. She sprints as if I would attack her. Oh. Hours pass. When she returns, I am well hidden, but she seems more wary. She still finds me unbearable. She still wants to bolt at the very sight of me, even her. I spend 4 hours positioning the bedsheet over me so that even the parts that could not fit beneath the couch do not have to stench her eyes. I figured it was better that way. She does not remove the sheet. I feel in action she makes her feelings clear. I suppose she is even grateful. I suppose it. 14 days. I have not seen my parents now, though I often heard them appreciating my sister's taking of the burden, and that they saw her moving from spoiled child to responsible adult with her undertaking of the undesirable duties. They do ask after me. Behaviour, eating habit, layout of room. My mother wanted to come and see me once. Unfortunate son, I had been labelled. Father forbade it. I wish she had come. My sister was too young. She was carrying an adult's load for me. Out of consideration for my parents, I don't go to the window during the day. Just circle the few small feet of room. For fun, I climb the walls and ceilings. Climbing ceilings, in fact, opens up the lungs somewhat. Feels like breathing properly for the first time in years. A terrific unburdening. My sister notices the marks on the wall, and being kind of hard, she resolves to moving all the furniture away from the walls to allow me free access. But being slightly framed, she could not shift furniture alone. She waits for father to leave and gets mother in. I lay flat beneath the sheet and watch as she creeps toed in. Unsure she is, but at least she came. I don't look out from under the sheet. I don't want to take the risk that she would look and see and never come again to see me. They moved the chest of drawers with struggle. I worry Mother will strain herself. Suddenly it stops. Mother whispers. She must have thought I don't understand words anymore.
By taking furniture, won't it seem like we're giving up all hope of improvement? We should leave it, the room, so when our boy Gregory returns, it has you represent.
This struck me like the 7 o'clock train across the temples. Had I really wanted to live in a cave, had I really wanted to abandon the lovely furniture I had inherited, had I really wanted to give up everything that made me human just to crawl about more freely, had I forgotten that I was human, had I forgotten that I was human, had I forgotten that I was human, Mother hadn't. My sister is stuck on the idea of movement. She shuffles furniture and pushes wood away from the walls and busies about around me. Everything is shifting, except for me. And the all-important couch. I couldn't let them take all that was left of me. These things were all that were left of me. They leave the room with the chest. I dash forth from beneath the couch, scurrying forwards and back and forwards and back and desperately looking for what to say. And there it was. The woman. They could not take the woman from me, no, not her. I scrambled up the wall, adhesive feet scraping plaster, pressing my hot, heaving belly against the coolness of her glass, and she soothes me. Oh, yes, she soothes me. She was safe. I had saved her. I turn and look at the door. I want to see them enter. Our eyes meet. My sister stays calm. I can see her now.
Let's go back to the living room for a while.
Mother panics, screams at the big brown blob on the wall before even registering it as her firstborn son. She falls to the floor. Sister Greta screams and shakes her fist at me. Greta dashes to the kitchen and I swiftly follow to help our mother in her confusion. When Greta sees me, she drops a bottle in shock and it burns my face. She runs back into my room and slams the door shut. Time passes. I wander the environment. Father arrives. Greta runs through the opposing door and hurls herself at him. Of course, I could hear her.
Mother, thank you. She's not. Gregor comes out. Just as I said would occur.
He will come for me. I panic. I scramble to the door. Greta's inaccuracy of word had given Father enough gap to fill it with fictitious violence. I had to explain, I had to tell him I wasn't a violent. I hadn't become a violent. I am Gregor! Father strides forth into the kitchen and I look at him. Is that really Father? Is it really Father? So much anger, so much twisted burn on face. I guess so much has changed. He had always been extremely strict on me. He walks towards me. I shuffle away, away, and around and around the room. An apple! He abandoned pursuit on foot. He turned to artillery instead. At my head, the wave reverberates around my dome like a concert hall, closer and more venomous and meaningful and cruel, and lunges in my back, hard and twisted and painful and stuck in flesh, and I pants, and I lie here, and the last thing I hear is Mother begging Father to spare my life. no one removed the apple from my flesh. It lay there, festering, a constant reminder. I had lost much of my mobility, this time permanently. Crippled invalid I had been sentenced to being by my own father. I could no longer crawl on ceilings. To get across my room took minutes now. The door to the living room was left open now. I guess I was less of a threat. My father would sleep in his chair. Mother would sew fancy underwear for a fashion shop. Sister Greta learned foreign words and shorthand. The saleswoman she was now. I often looked at the stains on Father's coat. The clock strikes 10. And Mother wakes Father and tries to get him to go to bed. He has to be up at 6 to go to work. Money is tight. Jewellery sold. Possessions pawned. Discussions of moving to smaller abodes, more manageable rental-wise. They often discuss how they have been struck with a misfortune unlike anything experienced by anyone else they know. I just listen. It hurts. The injury really, very, very much hurts. When Father goes to bed, Mother told Greta to shut my door, and in the dark, they're crying. I barely sleep, night or day. Sometimes I think about the clerk, or the tea boy, or some other, but not often. One of the chambermaids in a provincial hotel, cashier in a hat shop. Other times, I churn with white-hot rage at my mistreatment. I plot how to get into the pantry. What I'll do once there, God only knows. Greta pushes some food into my room on occasion. It's far less carefully delivered than before. Dirt and dust and filth everywhere. Everywhere. She sees the dirt. She leaves me in it, bitter and immobile. I posit she may be too tired after work to come home and clean my room, but that is no reason to neglect your kin now, is it? The maid looks in on me.
You are dumb beetle. Look at the dumb beetle.
One time I went to attack her. She held out a chair ready to strike.
You come further, beetle.
I crawled back behind sofa. Stopped eating. I often chew it and spit it back out again. My room is used for storage. What they don't need is thrust in here. The bins from the kitchen found their way in here too. Lodgers moved in. Bearded men. So the flat was cleaned, and what they don't need is pushed in here like me. There's rubbish everywhere. At first, I tried to move it, but later it just made me sad and tired and still. They eat in perfect silence, the family and their particular lodgers. Meat and potatoes and steam. I know I'm dying as I watch them eat. One evening I heard dancing on the sounds. Yes, the violin was playing. The lodgers read a newspaper and smoked. Father checked the playing wasn't unpleasant to them. On the contrary, they said, the exaggerated courtesy of a desperate man. The playing seemed, the notes, it's as if they travelled on the air and wrapped themselves around my body and gently pulled me, and gently drew me, and gently teased me to the doorway. I know I should have stayed in my room. I had gathered dust on my back, threads and hairs and bits of food, but actually I didn't care. Actually, I didn't care anymore. I really, really didn't care anymore. I crept forward onto the beautifully kept floor of the living room. No one noticed. They blew smoke from their noses and mouths, and I could tell the playing how bored them, but still, for politeness, they listened. And I had a thought. I had a very clear, a beautiful thought. Could I be an animal if music captured me so? Could a mere animal be moved by arrangement of sounds? Or could it? Somewhere in here I was definitely good old Gregor, yes. It felt like I was being shown the nourishment I had craved for so long. I was ready for an attack. I was going to take my sister and have her play for me in my room as the smokers didn't appreciate her, but I would climb her shoulder and kiss her cheek, and she would see. One of the lodgers pointed at me and shouted, "Punctilious little man." The music fell to silence. Father fussed around the men. If anything, they found me more amusing than the violin I would wage. Father tried to push them back to their rooms. They grew annoyed whether we'd being pushed or not knowing I had been there. A lodger handed in his notice. He talked of repulsive conditions and taking action for the damages and the like. The others agreed. Father slammed the door shut. And he turned to come face with me. And then something unusual happened. Something I hadn't factored when, something I never expected when.
Father, Mother, we can't carry on like this.
Not you too, Greta, not you too. And of course, Father agreed with her.
We have to live with it. We can no longer torture like this. We can no longer enjoy it. My child, what are we to do? If only you can understand us. But as it is, it has got to go. There is nothing left of Gregor there. He is an animal. We are humans. We cannot do this one. We cannot. This animal is taking on their flight. It was driven out of tents and then leave us on the streets. This animal.
I had no intention of frightening anymore. I had no desire to move, and no energy for it either. They looked upon me in unhappy silence, and I turned around. The door was locked and bolted behind me. I could no longer move. The effort had robbed me of everything. Ache and pain and heavy. I've never seen them since. Early days, it was been perhaps 1 week. I take succour in the fact that the pain is fading. The apple rotting away. The white dust upon it falling slowly like snow. I remember my family with emotion and love. Deep down, I knew she was right, Greta. Listen to the clock tower. Listen to it chime 3. Light. The light from the sky washes inside me. And I push aside the rubbish and the dirt. And I burrow myself deeper into the overflow of bins and the neglect of my kin. And I close my eyes. And I swell. And I think of redemption. And I think of my gravestone. Here lies Gregor Sampson. He only ever did what was right.